What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to take some time and talk about the recently released new Chainsaw Man movie, the Reze arc. Personally, I'm a fan of this kind of trend or more common thing you see of turning a story arc into a movie. I know that recently Demon Slayer did it. I did not see that, so don't spoil that for me. I think they talked about doing it with Attack on Titan. I forget if they actually did or not. I can't remember, honestly. But I like the trend of turning an arc into a movie because you get the full, complete, introduction to a character to the end of that, story arc. I think that fits well into that style, and chances are, if you're like me and you're really into an anime anyway, you're gonna binge those. What if an episode's 20 minutes, the movie was like an hour and a half, so like 6 to 7 episodes, 6, 7 to complete that arc. So I kind of like that they built it into this movie format. Before I actually get into my thoughts about the movie, allow me to set the groundwork a little bit, build you the scene of my theater experience. I went to go see this movie. It was kind of later last week. It was in the afternoon. It was like my tickets were for like 3:30 or 3:30, 4 o'clock. And so nobody's really at the theater. When I went online to get my tickets, it was just me going. So I picked the back row and there was a group of 2 in front of me and that was it. So then when I get to the theater, I got popcorn, of course. I was hoping to get the Pochita popcorn buckets. I was even wearing the same hoodie, the Pochita hoodie, and they had none, which I kind of was expecting. So I get into the theater and there's that same group of 2 in front of me, and then there's another group of 2 guys in front of them. So we're kind of just in the back 3 rows at the theater. So I sit down, and so nope, there'll be no spoilers really in this review, but when you go into the first scene, it kind of builds off of the last episode of season 1, if I remember correctly. It's kind of like this dream sequence with Denji and Pochita telling him not to open the door. And it's this, kind of dream sequencey thing. Also note, I think you could pick, I don't really know, it didn't seem like you really could pick which style you wanted to see, but I saw this in Japanese voiceover with the English subtitles. The screen is a little like blurry, right? There's kind of like doubles almost of certain shapes and stuff, and even on the subtitles itself, which being a dream sequence, I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. It's like a misty, like foggy, like, you're kind of there in the dream with Denji sort of thing is how I took it, right? Then it cuts, Denji wakes up and he's in the apartment with Aki and Power, and it still is doing the same sort of thing where it's looking a little like blurry. Like it'll be clear, it's not blurry the whole time. It'll be like clear for a second and then it gets kind of blurry and then it goes back. So I thought that was part of the dream sequence. So the group of 2 at the very front, one of those guys gets up and he leaves. So I'm thinking that the screen, the projector's messed up, something's wrong. I'm like, of course, like I just wanted to watch this and maybe I'll get a refund or maybe they'll restart it. I don't really know. There's not a lot of us in there, so it's not like it would matter anyway. So he gets up, and then the person of the group of 2 in front of me, that one person, he gets up and he leaves the theater. So I'm like, okay, maybe they're going to do it together. And then they both come back in, and I hear like the crinkle of like plastic in their hands, and then they put on glasses. This was a 3D movie, and I had no idea. Apparently nobody did, because on when I went back on my tickets, it does not say anywhere 3D movie. If going back to the actual receipt of it, in the very, very dark spot, there is the 3D logo, the Real D 3D logo, but I had no idea, but that would then explain the movie ticket cost and everything after that. So I'm someone that is used to getting motion sickness, so I was a little worried now that I'd have to commit to this 3D movie because there was no other showings or anything. This was like the only one, unless I want to go to a different theater at a different time and spend more money to do all that, which obviously not. I sucked it up, I put on my big boy glasses, I watched the Chainsaw Man movie in 3D, and let me tell you, it was actually a very pleasant surprise. I didn't get motion sick at all or anything like that, and of course, now this movie's kind of set up in a way, we'll get into the review part now. This movie's kind of set up in a way where there's a lot of build up in the beginning and then the action is towards the end. And I didn't have a problem with that. I actually liked that. There was a good build up to why the action is there and everything, of course. So at the beginning parts though, with the 3D on top of it, doesn't really matter too much. Some scenes look cool. I mean, there's a scene with Denji and Makima in a cafe place sort of thing, and she's got like the cup, and it shows like the cup, and it looks like it's like protruding out of the screen or something. I don't know, just like random things. They're walking on the street, they're further out than the other. Obviously, you know how 3D works, but I'm just saying it like enhanced it a little bit, but it like I didn't really care. I'm also someone that's like never really seen a 3D movie. I went one time, I think it was like 2 summers ago, they were replaying Jaws, and it was in 3D. Again, I don't think I knew it was in 3D. I just went to go see Jaws because I love Jaws, and it was in 3D, and like that was fine. And then, if I've been to Universal before, and on some of the rides, they give you like the 3D glasses. There's like a Transformers one and stuff that you need the 3D glasses to feel more into the ride. I don't know how to explain it. But what I'm saying is the 3D, obviously for the white scenes and the other thing was really super sick, but on the other parts, like, of course it's a little more immersive, but it like is whatever. So there's, the beginning build up of, you get a lot of Denji and Makima at the beginning. You get the introduction to Reze, of course. You get some tidbits with Aki and Angel. Also, I forgot to mention, if you are going into this and have kind of forgot the anime, the season 1, maybe you're a manga reader, maybe you're ahead and really ahead even into the more recent chapters that are coming out, and just kind of forgot how we got to this point, I highly recommend watching some sort of recap, of the first season, or if you want to, the manga up to this point, just a story recap, because they don't really give you that in the beginning, which I don't care. I was just like, even going into it, I'm like, oh shoot, I kind of forgot like what happened up to this point. Like, and I had read ahead in the manga. I'm not caught up current day to what it is, but I had read all of part 1. Yeah, I recommend watching some sort of recap or something just to get yourself up to speed, to be like, okay, because it kind of just picks up where the end of season 1 leaves off. You go right into this movie. So recommend watching some sort of recap if you forgot. Kind of a slow build in a way. Slow makes it sound like it's boring. It's not boring, it is interesting. You get obviously a lot of Denji and his kind of ideals of what exactly he wants, going forward, his goals, his reason for being a devil hunter. And a lot of that revolves around women, kind of where the theme of Reze comes in. He meets Reze, and story goes from there. They meet up more and more, and it just grows and grows, this relationship. Visually, this was very, very stunning. I'm always impressed how they managed to keep the art style of anime movies consistent to the manga. A lot of times, obviously, it's more polished for anime and for these anime movies and stuff, as opposed to just reading the manga, right? But there's a couple like scenes in particular that it looks like straight out of the manga. Like they just projected the manga onto the big screen, and we were able to animate it. Like, it's just awesome that they were able to keep Fujimoto's style of these characters and of the Chainsaw Man world. Just looks really sick. I'm a huge fan of the art style for it. I don't really want to talk about like spoilers, of course, but I will bring up one particular thing that bothered me with this movie. This is super, super nitpicky, but there's a certain scene where Denji and Reze are at the school after hours sort of thing. They go swimming. Okay, so they're in the like pool or whatever, and it cuts to a shot of a spider outside of the school in like a web. Upon like first like looking at that, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I like the subtle like foreshadowing of kind of this relationship, where it's going, that sort of thing. And then they cut to it again. I'm like, okay, we see the spider, bro. Like, I understand. And they cut to it again, like all in this like sequence of things happening. Like they cut to the spider in the web, and then eventually like a fly or a moth, I forget, some sort of bug is in the web, and then the spider like wraps up the bug and stuff like that. Like, but they cut to the, I'm not exaggerating, they cut to the spider like 5 or 6 times, and it was just driving me nuts, because I just hate that when they like go for a subtle thing and then they make it not subtle by keep showing and like really shoving this down your throat, being like, they're like a spider and a bug, they're like a spider and a fly, these two. And it's just like, I like the subtlety of it, and I like when you can pick up on something like that as a viewer. And if you miss it as a viewer, then maybe the next time you watch, you pick up on it and be like, oh, okay, that's what they were going for. That was the like foreshadowing or whatever. But let's get into the last part of it. Again, I'm not going to spoil what happens, but the action sequences. You've seen some of it in the trailers or the artwork for it and things like that. And obviously, as you can imagine, things in theory would get a little messy as Denji is riding Beam, this shark fiend, and fighting the bomb devil while also fighting the typhoon devil. And as you could tell, you get an image of all this. A lot's happening on screen, and they do a very nice job of, like, you never really get confused. Like, visually, they could be a lot all thrown at you at once with a lot going on. And but it's very well done, and you never really get confused on what's happening. And yeah, it was just super sick. I mean, there's not much else to say other than that. Action sequences are like 10 out of 10. Like, the animation and stuff is ridiculous. It's super hype, and it's just, yeah, I mean, you couldn't ask for much more than that. All in all, I didn't really come with the intention of just making a video glazing this new Chainsaw Man movie, but that's kind of how I left feeling the theater. I just love the Chainsaw Man world, these characters, the art, like, it's all like super good. To rate it on like a letterbox scale, solid 4.5 out of 5 stars. I mean, you can't really complain much about this movie. It's like an hour and a half long. It's funny, there's good action, there's good character building, there's nice build-ups. I'm really liking these anime movies, and just recently got word that in December, there will be a new Jujutsu Kaisen movie as well. I don't remember what for arc it's supposed to be, but I'll have to catch up on that to watch that, because these movies are just hype, and I really am enjoying them. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend seeing it. And if you have seen it, let me know your thoughts down below. But anyways, thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.